Hey guys, it's Corey and Tiffany, and we're the co-founders of Investor Life.
And we help investors scale their portfolios using other people's money. Fearless, welcome to another Tactical Tuesday.
Welcome to another Tactical Tuesday. We have a really cool topic that we're going to be talking about tonight. This, guys, I hope is a scenario that shows you the power of leveraging your money.
We help investors take their portfolios from 2 or 3, 5 properties maybe, up to 15, 20, 50 properties if that's what they're wanting to.
Really, the sky's the limit. And we help investors scale their portfolio.
For free weekly live trainings that we do over there on Facebook. Thanks for...
Hey guys, it's Corey from Investor Life, and Tiffany just stuck out her tongue at me. Okay.
Yeah, that was a bad rendition. But guys, today, what wrecks people in real estate? We're going to be talking about that, and we're going to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. Well, welcome everybody to our Tactical Tuesday. Here we are, November 28th, 2023. This year is coming to a close here very soon. Welcome to another awesome topic that we have tonight. And we're going to talk about the 3 biggest mistakes that we see in joint venturing and raising capital, guys. And we don't want this to happen to you. So we're actually going to share a video that we recorded back in 2020 when we were in Thailand. And we had just finished a boot camp. Just going to set the stage here for you. Just finished a boot camp. We had talking about joint venturing, raising capital all weekend. And then, you know, we had a whole ton of questions. And we thought we would share what we thought were the 3 biggest mistakes. And these mistakes, regardless of the year, we see them happening all the time. We don't want that to happen to you. So we thought we'd share this video with you. It's one of the FAQs that actually lives inside our membership site that our Ignited members have access to. We have a ton of FAQs in there that they have access to. And this is one that we wanted to share with you. It's about half an hour or so long, and it's going to be fun. So let's have a look at that tonight. And thank you for saying hello as you come on, everybody. So we have people from Saskatoon to Panorama, Spruce Grove, Edmonton, Illinois, USA, Westport, Ontario, all across the country, all across North America. And thanks for joining us tonight, guys. So this is a topic. If you are somebody that wants to raise capital, if you are somebody that wants to set up joint venture partnerships in real estate investment, we want to make sure that we're not making these mistakes because they're very easy to do. And if we make these mistakes, then it kind of stops our progress. If we're doing it right, what tends to happen, and for those of you that are longtime investors here, you probably know this. Once somebody invests with you and everything starts to turn out well, they invest again. And then they tell their friends, and those friends invest. And it starts to snowball in that direction. But if we're not following the right principles, if we're not doing it right, and if we make one of these 3 big mistakes, then that tends to get cut off right there. And we don't make the progress that we possibly could make. And so that's really why we want to go over this and make sure that you're not making it. And it's only going to help you guys. Welcome, Scott. Welcome, Craig and Lisa, Jules, Eric, Lisa, Karina, everybody that's with us today. Really appreciate having you here. And so we're going to get right into it. And we're going to share this video. And then I'm going to come on at the end of it. And maybe you can give me your comments and let me know. And as we're going through this video, guys, I'm going to be in the chat as well. So throw your comments in the chat and let us know what you think. If this is a mistake maybe you have made, maybe you've learned lessons that are very similar. And of course, the more lessons we learn, the more we can pass on to other people as well. So here we go. We're going to get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. And I'll bring it up there and we'll get her started, guys.
So top 3 mistakes that we see people making when they are talking to joint venture partners, when they're searching for joint venture partners. So, you know, there's so many things that we did wrong Honestly, so many. We did over 100 like sit down presentations talking to people. And the large majority of those we did wrong. It wasn't until we were like 50 or 60 in of failure and rejection and hearing no's and walking away without a partner and lots of time, effort, and emotion going into, had planned and prepped and prepared to no avail. So that was honestly, I would like, when I think back on our joint venture journey, I would say that was one of the very hardest things, was going in again and again and again, not knowing what to do next and not knowing why, knowing that we had the ability to do this, but not knowing what we were doing wrong. It seemed like, we were doing everything we should be, but it's amazing how just a few little tweaks to what we were doing made such a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So
what we're going to focus on today is, when we're talking about joint venturing, there's so many different aspects about it. There's finding potential partners, marketing yourself to potential partners.
Mm-hmm.
There's how you then, once you have some interest, and we talked about that during our boot camp, it was really, how do we market towards, how do we start planting those seeds? How do we do all those kinds of things? And then there's, once you do have a partner, how do you take care of them? How do you make sure that they feel confident in you? How do you increase their confidence so that they'll reinvest again? How do you take care of that investment for them and make sure that they have enough information so that they feel confident in you and the investment, but not too much information where you're overloading them and they start to lose interest. So and then, it can continue on and on. When it comes to joint venturing, there's so many different aspects to it. But what we're going to talk about today is, we're going back to the very, very beginning. And when you're starting to talk with people, when you're starting to have these conversations, when you're starting to maybe get some interest and people might be wanting to invest with you, what mistakes happen at that point where it goes from somebody that's a little bit interested, somebody that, those seeds are starting to sprout, to they're gone. Okay, they're not interested anymore. They lose interest.
Or the other way, they're in and they'll sit there and, I had one lady, I'll never ever forget her. I'll never forget that moment where we were, what we looked like. We were sitting in a restaurant. There was a plate in front of her and a plate in front of me, because they had like preset the tables and neither of us were eating. We each just had a coffee, and we were just there for the implicit purpose of meeting to speak about whether or not we would joint venture together. And, we got talking, and I just, out of the blue, we're talking, I'm answering her questions and we're just having a conversation, and she starts reaching down and she's grabbing her purse, and I'm thinking, oh, she's done with me. Okay, shut up, stop talking. Okay, I guess we're done. Like, she was like reaching for her purse, like she was, leaving, ready to pay the bill kind of thing. So I was like, okay, yep, fine. Like, almost like, okay, hit me, like, go for it. I can take it. Right. And she reached into her purse. She brought out a checkbook and she started like writing, and she didn't even know my name well enough, my full name well enough to know what to put on the check. She just wrote $50,000 check to me across the table. She put it on the plate in front of me. And I was like, you know the story, Trevor. This isn't the point of the story. I actually handed it back to her because I didn't know what to do with it. And that too is, a mistake that we make is I didn't know the next step. So guess what? I never ever did get that $50,000 back, because by the time I was ready, she was moved on. And so that's another story that comes, or a lesson that comes out of that story, is, being willing and ready to strike when the iron is hot. And Adele, you're part of Igniting now. You'll have those tools. Like, as soon as you get that, we are like, okay, strike when the iron's hot. Here's your next steps. This is what you're going to do. So, but at the end of the day, my hardest moments were sitting there when I was talking to someone and they would say, all right, well, thanks so much for your time. And, I got to run. And I was like, yeah, I get it. It's okay. But there were some very key things that I was doing wrong, and I did them wrong again and again and again, 20, 30, 40 times probably. And so that's what we're talking about today. So the first one, let's just jump right in,
Number one mistake.
that people make is that we don't build trust first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So what happens is we're all excited. This seed that we planted is starting to sprout. And then what do? We talked about this a little bit during boot camp. We start to fire hose it with water. And
Hey, Wendy.
we start talking about things that we shouldn't yet. We start talking about graphs and ROIs and numbers and all of those sorts of things. We start talking about the property. We start talking about all of that sort of stuff. And we haven't built that trust yet. And they don't really, whatever we say, it doesn't matter if it's 100% correct. It doesn't matter if it's incorrect. It's all irrelevant if they don't trust what we have to say. So building that trust first is so crucial throughout this process.
Yeah, for sure. So I used to go in, I had a fantastic little presentation. I don't know where it ever went, but I had gone in and I'd done some research and I created a chart in PowerPoint, Excel, just a simple chart. And I had created this thing that showed the average person's RSPs over the last 10 years, what they had gotten, and the average return on the same money in real estate, what the average in my market was. So, I would go in and I was very cognizant of the fact that I didn't want to waste people's time. I already felt like I was a burden. And so that's my first mistake, was I would go in feeling like I was asking for a favor. And those of you that took boot camp, you know that we changed that mindset and we go in offering an opportunity, because truly the vast majority of the population, they don't understand the power of real estate. They certainly don't know how to use it. And so they do need us. So first off, you go in, like we talked about in boot camp. So let me just clarify too. These are 3 mistakes that we haven't talked about yet. In boot camp, we kept it all positive and how do we, go in stronger. But now we're talking a little bit about, the mistakes that we make. So it is all interconnected, but these are 3 new mistakes that we see people making. So I'd go in offering, feeling like I was bothering them, for one. For 2, for that reason, I didn't want to waste their time. So I was like, all right, let's get down to business. So here's where I'm investing. Here's where I'm investing. This is what you need. This is what, blah, 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 blah. And I'm pretty sure their eyes would have glazed over. I'm pretty sure that they would be thinking, this is a waste of my time. And the reason is because I hadn't taken the time to stop and look them in the eye as a human being and allow them to get to know me enough to trust me. Again, they have to know, like, and trust us in order to invest with us. They can't do that if we just get in there and get efficient. Yeah. They're looking for efficiency later, but they don't need it right now.
So when these conversations start to sprout, when we start to maybe sit down and meet with somebody and we're having a conversation, too many people jump straight into the business side of things.
Yeah.
They jump straight into, let's close this deal. What they're starting to think is they're thinking, okay, this is a potential partner. This is money. I need to close this. And when we start having those types of thoughts in the back of our head, and Melanie has been giving us absolute gold. in our Monday, Mind Power Monday, and about our ways of thinking and all of that. So when we start thinking, close it. When we start thinking, possible investor, this is money, this is, when we start having those thoughts in the back of our mind, we start to change. We start to come across business-like. We start to come across impersonal. And so what we're talking about today is a mistake that we see people make all the time.
But
when you're starting to sit down, we made it all the time too. And that's why we're talking about it, because this was something that kept us from getting way more partners that we could have gotten.
And when we changed it, it changed for us.
Exactly. It came down to starting to have that conversation. Remember in the back of your mind, This is a real human. This is hard-earned dollars that they've worked hard for to get. Obviously, they've had a measure of success to this point already if they have money that they could potentially be investing with us. So we have to respect that. And we have to remember that that trust and that human side needs to be built up before we get all business-like.
In a face-to-face conversation that can elicit trust that is not said. And so it's little things like being on time, being prepared, things like
Being organized,
and making sure that they have a coffee, making sure you've prepaid for it or pre-arranged it. Little things that really show and build trust without us needing to speak. So being on time, I can't even tell you, how different that is. It's good for us, but it's so trust building. Now, the other thing that's trust building is listening. We
2 ears, one mouth.
Yeah, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Yeah, we have the tendency to think we need to inform,
Do all the talking.
Yeah. But what we actually need to do is just sit back and listen. We need to find the problem. We need to fix it. We can't do that unless we listen. The byproduct of that is that when people feel listened to, they feel trust. They feel this person gets me. This person understands and knows where I am and where I need to go.
Cares about me, has an interest in me.
Yeah.
And not just my money.
Right. And so you begin to trust. Now, at the end of the day, it's about a relationship first. You have to take it back to that analogy of dating. The very first thing you do when you're meeting someone new for the purpose of a relationship is you just chill out. You don't get into details. You don't get into numbers, charts, graphs, any of that stuff. You stop. You take a moment to look the person in the eye, see what they're about, ask them some questions, try to get to know them a little bit. And that's where trust is built. So number one mistake that we see people doing is they jump into the economics, the numbers, the ROI. But we need to stop, take a moment to remember that they are human beings and we need to build that trust.
Now, there's a point
first.
There's a point where we start getting into the ROIs, we start getting into the numbers, we start showing properties, we start doing that kind of stuff. But we have to ask ourselves a question. Have we built up the trust? Do we know this person? What do we know about them? Start asking yourself these questions before you ever start talking about numbers and properties and markets. You need to know, and you need to be able to confidently say to yourself, you know what? I know this, and this about that person. I kind of know what they're looking for, what their goals are. I've asked a few questions about maybe what their why is and what their motivation in doing all of this is. I've told them a little bit about me. We've started to have a relationship of some sort where we kind of are on a normal talking level.
Yeah, like we're just talking.
Once you hit that point, that's the point where you can then say, okay, so now's the time I can probably start sharing some of this stuff. And so I hope you guys are kind of getting the overall picture of what we're talking about here. The importance of building trust. Yeah. So does that make sense?
So that's the number one thing is you have to, yes, like Melanie says, you have to build that rapport. So please remember that. You know, many times we go in so nervous and we absolutely sabotage ourselves. So who are you? We'll give you a couple examples. So in our talking with people and learning, we've actually, hey guys, we've actually had a lot of people come back to us and say, so for example, we found out about a motorhome trip that this guy wanted to do with his family. Corey was just in chit-chatting. Corey was able to turn that conversation later to saying, and it was just organic. He was like, hey, isn't it interesting that this number right here, the ROI, when they finally did get into discussion, that ROI number, that's your motorhome right there. That's the money that you said you would need in order to take that motorhome trip and take the 2 months off this summer or that summer to go take your family on a trip. He never would have known that if he hadn't slowed down and to just talk to the guy. and they got talking about different things. I had that experience too with hockey coaching. This one guy was like, I really wish I could coach hockey, but I don't have time. I don't have time to do it. And that's why real estate's going to be tough for me, because I don't have the time. I can't add anything else to my day. And so I was like, okay, well, you know what? I do have time, so it enables you to listen to find out what it is that they most need from you as a partner, and then say it to them and say, listen, this is what I can provide. You mentioned this, you mentioned that, and I know that I can help fix that. There's some things you can't fix for them.
Yeah.
But those that you can, those are the ones you focus on. You
Totally.
can't get there unless you've taken the time to stop. Let them see who you are. They have to know you. They have to like you.
So,
And they have to trust you. Let them see who you are so they can do those things.
totally. So now, when you guys are in a conversation and you catch yourself, okay? Because at first this is going to take some practice, because the first thing we sometimes do is just jump right in. We sometimes jump right in. We start talking all these numbers and properties.
Yeah.
When you catch yourself and you notice to yourself, hey, I don't know enough about them yet, and they don't know enough about me yet. I'm jumping in too soon. Stop.
Yeah.
Turn it back and start asking questions about them. Turn the conversation more towards them. Start getting them talking. Okay.
If
So
they're
start
talking,
asking
you're
questions.
winning.
If they are talking, exactly. If they are talking, you're winning. So ask them questions. Stop talking.
It can be about the fence. It can be about the sky. It can be about earrings. It can be about vacations. It can be about anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be about anything real estate related. But when they are talking, that's one of the first rules that we learned in sales, or sales training that we started 25 years ago, was when they're talking, you're listening. When they're talking, you're winning. Like, wait, what? When they're talking, you're winning. So just get them talking.
Yeah. Okay. So that's point number one. Point number one.
Oh man.
Not building trust first. That's
Yeah.
the number one thing that we wanted to share with you.
So number 2 mistake that we see investors. Now remember, we've had a lot of people pitch to us. In our past coaching, we had pitch practice. So we would have people come to us. We would meet at a coffee shop, literally as if we'd never met before, or never spoken before. And A to Z, they would pitch to us as if we were their angel investors. So we've had a ton of people pitch to us. The number 2 mistake that we see people do is in that educating portion, when you're starting to, turn that conversation to real estate and really show them why you're doing, what your strategy is, or whatever, you get lost in your own confusion. So you might bring out a graph or a stat. You might say you're investing in Edmonton because it's the number 1 place to invest in Canada. Just giving an example. And someone asks you, really? So why is that? Oh, well, there's just so much going on. Cool, that's awesome. So what else? What's going on then? Like what things? Oh, there's some transportation happening, and there's investment, and well, GDP is strong, and gross domestic product is good, and 42% of people in the area are getting raises, and so I know that there's lots of really good things happening, and so that's why I'm investing there, and that's why you should invest with me, because our nerves get a hold of us. So what's the point? If you don't know what you're talking about, don't bring it up. Does that make sense? What's so interesting on the ground over there, right? If you can't back up what you've just said, don't say it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to. You don't have to bring up any of those things. You don't have to say it's the number 1 place to invest. You can just say that's where you're investing. So
here's the key, guys, is that too often we see people get too technical, get too statsy, and start,
and they don't know their stuff.
And they don't know their stuff, and they can't back it up. And they're making claims that may be true. However, you need to know why you're saying that. So, if your particular market that you're choosing to invest in is good for certain reasons, you need to know in depth what those reasons are. You need to do the research so that, okay, maybe it works out great for you because you live nearby. Maybe it works out great for you because
the reason you're investing there.
there's
not a good enough reason.
other reasons. But if an investor is looking to invest, and maybe that investor lives across the country, maybe that investor lives in a different country or across our province, it doesn't really matter. Or they could live next door. You need to be able to back up why you're investing in that area, why you're investing in that type of property in that area.
So
and the key is there could be really good reasons, but we need to be able to explain those reasons so that our potential partner understands the motivation for us. And if they understand the motivation as to why we are investing in that area, why we think it's good, and if we strongly do believe that it's good for various reasons, we need to share that in a clear, simple manner with our potential partner.
Does that mean that I have to find out, what the population growth, what the unemployment rate, what the transportation changes, what the GDP is for an area, what the in-migration is? Do I have to know retail sales? Do I have to know all of these things for my area? No, you don't. But do you have to know a couple of good reasons why? There's some new employers that are coming in. Who are they? How far will they be from the area you're investing in? What will the average wage be? Is it full-time work? Is it part-time work? Are there benefits? What type of tenant demographic is this going to bring to your area? If there's transportation changes, are you within a kilometer of, if it's an LRT, for example, of a station or a place where people can go and get on a train?
So these are all just examples.
An
but
interchange of transportation. So
really, we just need to know why. We need to be able to explain why. And the key to what we're really talking about here is that a lot of times investors will say, I am investing here. And then they're asked, okay, well, why are you investing there? And they don't have an answer. Or
they have a very convoluted answer, one that they can't quite back up. They might say, and this is not even about an area. So they might say, most people are unsatisfied with their RSPs, what they're getting for returns, and real estate has much better returns than an RSP. That's great. That sounds really intriguing to me if I have RSPs that are making 2%. So what is the return for an investor in real estate versus RSPs? What could I expect? Well, I don't really know. It depends. That's not a confidence, trust instilling answer. If you're going to bring up RSPs and the average return, you need to have something to back that up. Are you able to back up what you're saying? And if you're not, that's okay. You don't have to, but then don't bring it up. So don't get technical beyond your understanding, beyond your ability to speak to a topic. Don't bring it up if you can't back it up, okay? Does that make sense, guys? Can you see how when we bring things up, we start that conversation and then we don't have the backup for it, the actual tangible asset to speak to behind it? We lose their confidence. We lose their trust. They might still know us. They might still like us. But that third one, will they trust us?
So
can you see
if we
how
say
you lose that credibility?
If we say the unemployment rate is 5%, well, where did we get that stat? You better know where you got that stat. If we say the market has gone up 3.3% in the last 12 months, where did you get that stat? Where's that source? How confident are you in that source? You always have to have a source behind your stat. Okay, so that's the important part, because people are gonna, if we can't back it up, if they can't go and Google that and find that same number, if they go now Google, okay, unemployment rate, and they see it's completely different number, and we never backed up where we found that number, what happens to that trust level? It absolutely takes a hit. It dives. It disappears. So whatever stats we start sharing, whatever economic news we start sharing, make sure that we know where we got that from. Make sure that we know that we've done a little bit of research behind that. And so that's the mistake number 2 that we see. Number 1 was not building trust first. The second mistake that we see is not being able to back up stats, not being able to back up what we're saying. And we need to have that backup.
That trust building that you did at the beginning in step number 1, you lose it real quick if you can't back yourself up. Okay, guys, so that's point number 2. If someone asks you a question about something and you don't know the answer, your answer is, you know what? I don't know, but I'm going to find out for you.
Big point here, guys. Big point.
You don't have to know all that. There's more trust that's built and more credibility that's built in saying, you don't know, but I can find out. I have the resources. I've invested in my education. I've invested in networking groups. I've become a member of groups. I have a mentor. I have a coach. I will ask. And that, at the end of the day, will build more trust than anything that you do say when you don't know the answer.
In fact, haven't you noticed that if somebody actually admits, I don't really know the answer to that question, but I can find it out because I've built a team around me. I have the resources and I will find out. And then they come back to you maybe an hour or a day or 2 days or a week later with the answer to that question. What does that do for your confidence in that person? Number 1, they were able to admit that they don't know it. Number 2, they did the homework. They did the work to find out the answer for me. We're concerned enough to find the answer for me. And when they do bring it to me, what happens to my trust level? My trust level in that person goes way up. It's so much better than
Taylor just said. When you ask that question,
you earn respect. 100%, 100%. So don't be afraid to say, "Hey guys, I don't know the answer to that question." And you're not supposed to. You don't have to know the answer to every single question. So big point there, guys.
And number 2, what I called it in our notes is talking bigger than you are without backup. So that's the point. So point number 1 is not building trust first. Point number 2 is talking bigger than you without backup. What's our number 3 mistake? Number 3 mistake is, it's so cute and I love it. It makes me think back to such good memories. That's how we learned number 3, was through these pitch practices that we had with people that would present to us. And it was unbelievable how all of a sudden these people that we knew and liked and trusted in real life, we're pretending we didn't know them, we would come in and talk to them and they would be someone completely different. They would be like an alien. It was like this other person came out of their body and came into their body and made them something that they're not. I'll give you an example. One of our guys, he's so cute. He borrowed, for our presentation that he was presenting to us, he borrowed a 3-piece suit from a friend. He'd never worn a 3-piece suit in his life. It was too small for him. It was too tight. So he came in and he told us later, like when we give him our critique, and one of it was like, I've never seen you in a suit. You didn't look anything like yourself and you looked so uncomfortable. He's like, I couldn't move. He's like, my shoulders were so tight, I could barely breathe. He's like, and then Corey says, well, you know that you can undo the vest when you sit down and you undo the jacket when you sit down because, you know, he wears suits a lot. And he was like, I did not know that. So he had sat down with his vest and this jacket super tight and he did his presentation to us and he was dying. Well, he wasn't himself. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the thing was that, you know, we tell people like, take it up a notch. You know, if you're a hoodie and sneakers guy, trade the hoodie for a sport coat. Make it stretchy if you want. There's lots of good stretchy ones out there. Still wear a t-shirt. Still wear your sneakers if you want. But take it up just one little notch.
But don't go to the extreme and go and rent a tuxedo for this meeting. So that's the point. Stick to who you are. Be yourself. Be comfortable. Make sure that you are comfortable when you go there. Because you don't want to be somebody that you're not. If you're trying to be something that you're not, it will come across as inauthentic. Yeah. And what happens if somebody feels as though we're inauthentic? That trust level is going to go down. And remember, this is all about building a relationship, building a level of trust. So don't be somebody that you're not. And here's the other thing that happens in a lot of these cases when we're meeting with a potential partner is we start using words that are bigger than we normally use, or we start using words that aren't natural for us. And when we start doing that, our conversation just kind of goes sideways because we're trying to be somebody that we're not. We're trying to impress with the knowledge that we may have. We might have the knowledge, but when we try to get it across in a way that's unnatural for us, and we try to use bigger words than we normally use in normal conversation, then it comes across as inauthentic. So the point number 3, don't be somebody that you're not. You don't need to do that.
You are exactly how you are. You're exactly what people need as you sit, and they're gonna find out who you are. To me, it's like wearing we always say this with my girlfriends, wearing a push-up bra. Like, that is such false advertising. Someone's going to find out eventually what's really there. So, I mean, just be who you are so there's no bad surprises later. And that's how it is in a joint venture presentation. We always use that with my girlfriends.
I haven't heard that one before.
Okay, let's hit a couple of these questions. So how do you keep track of the conversations? I now use, my phone's in the holder. I now use just contact cards. And there's notes within that. So, I put in their name, phone number, email kind of thing. There are like CRM software and stuff, but that's too much for me. I just keep it in my notes, in my phone, who they are, what we talked about. I put in reminders in my phone, like, I need to talk to this person or build that relationship or check in there. I just use that. We used to, at networking events, take their business card, and as soon as the session was back in, we'd be sitting down, I'd write on the back who they are, what they look like, what, where we met, what we talked about, and what I feel I should provide for them. What their problem is, how could I fix it? How could I help them? Could I connect them with someone? How could I be helpful to them? So that's always a good thing to put in your thing, is what to do next. Because you're going to look back at their card. You might remember them. You might remember a bit of the conversation, but you're not going to remember your next step. So put in the next step. What am I returning
Old school
to
tip.
them on?
Yes. Yes. So let me give my opinion on that, Trevor. I would do a simple spreadsheet, at least for now. A CRM might be something that you want to start looking into, an email client kind of idea, so that you can keep track of who's who, where your conversations are. But, maybe just start with a simple spreadsheet where you have 1 to 10 level of interest, and you have your contacts in there, and you can have them in certain categories as to whatever level of interest or whatever level of progress you're at with that potential partner. So I would start with a simple spreadsheet, use Excel, use Google Sheets. And, at some point, if you have 30 already, probably when you get to the 70, 80, 100 potential partners or contacts, it might be good to start looking at a CRM. There's many of them out there, and that's a topic for another day, but I would start with a spreadsheet for now, Trevor.
So guys, today's topic was the top 3 mistakes that we see investors make when they're speaking to a joint venture partner. So again, I'm just going to review them really quickly. Not building trust first. That is a huge mistake. Talking bigger than you without having the backup for it. Okay, guys? And then trying to be someone you're not. So keep it you. They want to know you. They want to see you. Allow it to be who you are. But take it up a bit. Take it up a notch. But at the end of the day, I know the power of this, and I know what it did for our life. I know that we're in Thailand for 3 months because of our real estate. I know that we were able to help retire my dad because of our real estate. I know that we've been able to help other, our joint venture partners, a custodian, breaking his back, sweeping and mopping at 78 years of age or 75 years of age or whatever it was. And I know that we changed his life as our partner. We had a joint venture partner that I did an interview with just a couple months ago. And I said, why did you invest with us? Tell me, so that we can share this within our Ignited members. What was it? And he just said, I just have to say thank you guys, because I had money. He bought 15 properties or something with us. He's like, I had money. I was going to have an okay retirement, but you took my retirement from being okay to being fantastic.
And he told me at one point, he says, never in my life did I imagine, he's got this thick German accent. He's never in my life did I imagine that I would be doing yoga in India at my age. But he is, and it's because of the investment that he made with us and the returns we're able to give him. So I know that this changes lives, and that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Thanks, guys, for joining us for another Tuesday training. Remember the 3 big mistakes. Number 1, not building trust. Number 2 was not backing up what you have to say. And number 3 is not being yourself. Thanks, guys. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern for our Tuesday training.
And we'll
see you ignited in laser.
Welcome back, guys. I hope that you got a little bit of some points from that video that we did a couple of years ago while we were in Thailand, and some really good points. Those are, even today, those are the biggest mistakes. I mean, it was only, what, 3 years ago or so, 3-4 years ago, but those are mistakes that we see on a regular basis. People that are raising capital or people that are bringing on partners, they're making. And so we don't want you to make those. And so we thought we'd share that video with you today. So hopefully that helps a little bit. There's a few little pointers in there. That is one of 100+ FAQs that we have within our membership site. So if any of you are interested in getting access to that, knowing more, just email us at info@investorlife.com. We can set up a call and kind of show you all the stuff we have behind the scenes that are there for you guys to help you move along in your real estate investment career. Thanks for joining us again today, guys. It was great to have you. Do it a little bit different and play a video that we've had for quite some time, but we haven't shared with you as a group for quite a while. And we wanted to do that today. So we will actually see many of our Ignited members, just as we did back in 2020, over into our Ignited session, our laser session on Zoom. We'll meet you guys over there in a few minutes. Thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week, guys, for another Tactical Tuesday. Take care.